pole position as he went for consecutive win number 7. Up front on the grid, it was Gravett from Bristow, who had a good session on his qualifying tyres, but like teammate Tim Harvey, wasn't too optimistic about his race tyres. Rouse right behind Gravett. Amato Ferrari, new to the championship, in the very quick Eggenberger Sierra on row 4. Graham Hathaway, a non-starter from row 4. Cleland led the 2-litre qualifiers, the likes of Kurt Luby and Frank Sittner ready to pounce. The commentator is Murray Walker.
15 laps to go, and only 0.2 of a second covers the first 3 on the grid. Rob Gravett on the left in pole position, Lawrence Bristow on the right, and Andy Rouse behind Gravett's White Sierra. And it's a sensational start by Andy Rouse from the second row, straight through the middle into the lead at paddock, and Tim Harvey is alongside Rob Gravett as they go into paddock. So, coming up to Druids, Harvey running very wide indeed. It's Rouse, Gravett, Harvey in third place. Then it's his teammate, Lawrence Bristow, there he is, Walker and Graham Good. Down to Graham Hill Bend. In car with Lawrence Bristow, ahead of us, Harvey, Gravett and Rouse. Round 30s go the leaders, and then behind them it's the new boy, Amato Ferrari in the Black Sierra, challenging him, Andy Middlehurst, and in 9th position, the Vauxhall 2-litre of John Cleland. Now we're in car with Frank Sittner, 10th position. John Cleland is ahead, leading the 2-litre class. Ahead of him it's Middlehurst. Now into the right-hander at Hawthorne, out of Pilgrim's Drop. 120 miles an hour round Hawthorne, down to Westfield. Cleland ahead. And now we're with John Cleland leading the 2-litre class, 9th overall. Ahead of us is Andy Middlehurst, ahead of him is Amato Ferrari. Down to Sterling's, the left-hander. From Sterling's on to Clearways. And you can see the way the Ford Sierra Cosworth stride away from the Vauxhall. They've got 550 horsepower and Amato's lost it. Amato's lost it. Through goes Cleland. Through goes Sittner. Through goes Allen. And 24-year-old Amato from Piacenza is out. And there are the 2-litre leaders. What a battle. John Cleland is leading. Frank Sittner is in second place. Then Jeff Allen in the Big Lee car. There's Cleland. Cleland has won the 2-litre class twice already. Sittner Luby goes through. Kurt Luby is past Allen, up to 3rd in the 2-litre class. Pilgrim's Drop. There are the Labatt's twins. Tim Harvey, number 3, 3rd. Lawrence Bristow, his teammate, number 10, is 4th. Sean Walker there is in 5th position. Graham Good is 6th. Now we're riding in car with Lawrence Bristow. Out of Hawthorns at 120 miles an hour. On to Westfield. From Westfield to Dingledell, 3rd gear, 90 miles an hour as they go through the right, the left, and now on to Sterling's, from Sterling's to Clearways. So Tim Harvey ahead is in 3rd place, we are 4th, Sean Walker is 5th, Graham Good is in 6th position. And here are the leaders, Andy Rouse, number 1, leading. Number 11, Rob Gravett, over the line to complete the lap. Nothing in it. This looks like another tyre race. Rouse and Gravett are using different makes. They've got an enormous lead over Harvey, Bristow, Walker and Good. Rouse has got the advantage. He's got a clear lap in front of him. But my goodness, Rob Gravett is really pushing him, almost nudging the rear bumper of Andy Rouse's Ford Sierra as they go down into Graham Hill Bend, on towards Surtees. But if Andy Rouse just stays cool and keeps the racing line, it's going to be almost impossible even for Rob Gravett to get past him. Very, very evenly matched. Drivers and cars. Pilgrim's Drop. This is 155 miles an hour for the Ford Sierra Cosworths. And here are the 2 litres. Look at this. 7th, 8th and 9th overall. 1st, 2nd and 3rd in the class. In car with Frank Sittner. And that is John Cleland's Vauxhall Cavalier ahead as they go down the Jack Brabham straight into paddock at the end of another lap. Kurt Luby is right behind his teammate Frank Sittner. Up into Druids again. Cleland leading. Sidner behind him. Luby behind him. What an absolutely fantastic scrap in this 270 horsepower 2-litre class. Kurt Luby in the BMW Junior team. It's his team leader, Frank Sidner, ahead of him. And that's Sean Walker, 5th position, chasing Lawrence Bristow ahead of him in the blue and white Sierra, 4th place. And ahead of Bristow is his teammate, Tim Harvey, 3rd position. There are the leaders again. It's getting closer and closer all the time. Andy Rouse, Rob Gravitt over the line to complete another lap. Gravitt is starting to challenge. He's coming up on the inside. He's going through. This is incredible. Did he touch Andy Rouse? Well, we're looking back now from Gravitt's car. There is Andy Rouse as they go up to Druids. Gravitt has taken the lead in one of the most audacious passing manoeuvres I've ever seen. A fantastic bit of passing. Up into the lead. Andy Rouse down into 2nd place. Out of Graham Hill Bend, up to Surtees. Well, Gravitt's got past Rouse. Can Rouse get back again? There's a couple of tail-enders that they've got to lap. And as ever, if either of them get in the way of the leaders, there'll be trouble. But here is a replay. Now watch. Rob Gravitt in the background in the white Sierra come up alongside Andy Rouse. Do they touch? Didn't look like it to me. Rob Gravitt goes through beautifully cleanly, almost on the grass. An incredible drive. Now, here are the 2 litres. John Cleland and Frank Sidner lapping Andy Middlehurst. Sidner goes through and Middlehurst has hit him. Middlehurst in the black Sierra hits Frank Sidner, who nevertheless gets past. Kurt Luby doesn't though, so Cleland and Sidner have broken away, and Kurt Luby's got to get past the Ford Sierra Cosworth as they go into Surtees. There they are. Cleland, Sidner, Middlehurst, Luby. Behind Luby is Allen. Behind Allen is Netton Lindgren, the Swedish woman driver. Superb drive by Netton. Pilgrim's Drop and Andy Middlehurst in the black Sierra powers past John Cleland, who is on the inside as they go into Hawthorne, and Middlehurst runs wide. He's passed though as they go down to Westfield, and Cleland goes through again. Middlehurst onto the grass. Sidner goes through and Middlehurst has lost it. Luby goes by, Allen goes by, Lindgren goes by, and Andy Middlehurst has lost it altogether as the Sierra goes through. And there behind him is John Clark and David Coulthard. Middlehurst gets back again. He's gone down 5 places from 9th to 14th, and it's now a 5-car battle between the 2 litres. John Cleland leading, Sidner 2nd, Luby 3rd, Allen 4th, and Lindgren 5th in the 2-litre class. Over the line they go. 2 seconds covers the 1st to 5th in the 2 litres. Paddock up to Druids. John Cleland from Peebles leads the way. Frank Sidner from Nottingham and Luby from Bolton follow through. They're ahead of Jeff Allen from Lee and Sweden's Netton Lindgren. Down into Graham Hill Bend. So, Vauxhall, BMW, Cleland, Sidner. Champions both. Kurt Luby, perhaps a champion of the future. Jeff Allen, champion of the past, British touring car champion when he was driving for Rover. 4th in the class. Netton Lindgren holding on magnificently. In car with Sidner. And he gives some sort of a signal to Kurt Luby behind him. So I think Luby's trying to pass. No, says Frank Sidner. Yes, says Luby. I'm going to try. But he doesn't succeed at Hawthorne. What a superb circuit Brands Hatch is. It's got everything. Gradient, corners, speed, action. Lots of spectacle. Here it is. That's Dingle-Dale and that's Cleland leading. And this is Ian Forrest and Mark Hales. Mark Hales, number 60 in the Mitsubishi. Only one of those in the race. There he goes. Still leading just Rob Gravitt, number 11, looking good for a record 7th successive win. Record lap, 1 minute 32.6, 101.4 miles an hour. And there is the battle between Lawrence Bristow, number 10, Sean Walker, number 4, 4th position. That was Tim Harvey going through up into Druids, and Sean Walker goes through. Sean Walker dives through on the inside of Lawrence Bristow, takes fourth position away from him, and starts to pull away as they go into Graham Hill Bend. So Gravett leads. Rouse is in second place. Harvey is in third position. This is the battle for fourth between Sean Walker, number 4. Lawrence Bristow, here are the 2 litres. A 5-car train. 1.5 seconds covers them now. Cleland in the Vauxhall. Sytner, Luby, Allam and Lingram in BMWs. And the Vauxhall is where it matters. Up front. Sytner closing right up on John Cleland's rear bumper as they go over the crest. In car with Sytner, he shakes his head. He may not like it, but Luby is going through on the left. He's done it. Kurt Luby in the BMW goes up to second in class. Cleland, Luby, Sytner, Jeff Allam right behind Frank Sytner. Lindgren is right behind Jeff Allam. And Sytner angrily gesticulating. He wants to get past. I don't suppose Kurt Luby's doing too much looking in his rear mirror just now, though. Up to Westfield, out of it. And if anything, John Cleland's getting away as they go through Dingle Dell. Cleland, Luby, Sytner, Allam, number 99, 4th position in the class. There's Netton Lindgren, 5th in the class. Down into Clearways. And it's looking like win number 3 coming up for John Cleland and the Dave Cook Racing Team. There he is in his 2-litre Vauxhall Cavalier over the line into paddock. Beautifully steady. Car handles magnificently. Druids. Down into second gear. Into the apex. Down to Graham Hill Bend. The Cavalier has got the legs of the heavier BMWs, and the RAC's handicap system seems to have got the weight penalty just about right. Look at it. Cavalier, BMW, 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 BMW. 4 of them chasing the lone Vauxhall. In car with Frank Sytner. Now, he's got a good points lead over Cleland in the championship, but he'd be obviously happier if he could get back to second in class by passing Kurt Luby ahead of him. And Frank is challenging as they go into Hawthorne. Now Westfield. And Luby's nearly lost it. The back steps out. He's lost momentum. He's gone wide. Frank Sytner is going through. And Jeff Allam is going through. Kurt Luby, and he's touched. He's hit Luby. Allam hits Luby. And Luby has gone down 2 places from second to fourth in just a few yards, and Netton Lindgren is snapping at his boot lid. And this is the last lap. Rob Gravett versus Andy Rouse, and that audacious passing move of Rob Gravett's seems to have cost Andy his 3rd win. Because there's a full second between them now as they go into Dingle Dell, down to Stirling's for the last time. There's Sean Walker, 4th position, staying ahead of Bristow. So Rob Gravett leads, Andy Rouse 2nd, Tim Harvey 3rd. Then Walker, Bristow, Graham Good. There is Sean Walker, followed by Bristow through Dingle Dell for the last time. Out of Clearways, almost home for that record 7th successive win, and he takes it. Rob Gravett wins with a lap record from Andy Rouse in 2nd position with Tim Harvey 3rd. But what about the 2 litres? We're in car with Frank Sytner, 2nd in class. John Cleland, the leader, ahead of him on their last lap. It's now or never. They're both champions. Ahead of them is Ray Arms's Honda Civic. They've got to lap it, and they're going to. Pilgrim's Drop coming up to Hawthorne's. There are the leaders. Cleland, Sytner right behind him. They're past Ray Arms. On to Westfield. Sytner is pushing very, very hard indeed, and John Cleland is right on the edge. Almost losing adhesion as he comes out of Westfield, but he doesn't. He's still in the lead. Sytner is still 2nd. Jeff Allam in the background is still 3rd. Through Dingle Dell safely. Down to Stirling's. We're with Frank Sytner. That's the leader ahead of him. They've only got Stirling's. Out of it now. Clearways, Clark Curb, the Jack Brabham Straight. And this is coming into Clearways. And it looks to me as though Cleland's going to do it. I can't see any way that Frank Sittner can get past him now, and Cleland knows he's won. The mercurial John Cleland waves in triumph, crosses the line to win the 2-litre class.
Yes, 7 wins in succession for Rob Gravitt, and he's helped by Cleland winning the 2-litre class ahead of Sittner. But once again, Gravitt had to fight off the stern challenge of Andy Rouse.
Andy was going very quickly there, and I didn't know whether I'd find a way past him, and I did a death-defying act down the end of the straight because it's the only place I could see that I could get past him. Andy wanted the space that I was in, and I wanted the space that he was in, and I thought at one stage that we might have it coming together, but we might have touched paint, but I think that's about it. Frank didn't win the 2-litre class, so that gives us a bit more of a lead, so well done to John here.
John, whatever you pay me, it's not enough.
No, I realise that.
John Cleland had the toughest battle of all, holding off the challenge of Sittner, who gave everything on that last corner. The 2-litre class is the touring car format for next year, so another important point proved by Cleland and Vauxhall over the massed ranks of the BMWs. For the second time, the SO British Touring Car Championship saw action on the fast but confined streets of Birmingham. 44.5 miles around the city centre, one of the key races of the championship, especially if the 7-race domination of Rob Gravitt could be broken. Gravitt once again on pole position alongside Tim Harvey, who claimed his front row place in the dying moments of qualifying. Row 2, Lawrence Bristow and a rather disappointed Andy Rouse, Sean Walker and Graham Good row 3, Mike Newman and Amato Ferrari row 4. In the 2-litre class, John Cleland in the Vauxhall Cavalier fastest, and Frank Sittner would start directly behind Cleland, another opportunity for their intense rivalry to show itself. Gravitt led the field round to set up for what was going to prove the first of 2 starts, and the fierce competition that this Birmingham race always generated, plus the close proximity of the Armco, was about to claim some victims. Looking back from Gravitt's pole position car, Rouse on the left, Bristow on the right, Rouse who'd produced a demon start from a similar position in the last round at Brands Hatch. And on this occasion, Rouse again powered through from the second row, but behind them, Lawrence Bristow and Graham Good had made contact, and their stricken cars would force the red flags out and the abandonment of the start. But the message took a while getting through to the other side of the circuit. Rouse, with Harvey behind, is hard on the power, and as Gravitt slows under the red flag, contact is made. And Rob Gravitt is somewhat aggrieved.
They put the red flags out before the roundabout, and I was going slow. Rouse came up behind and wanged up the back really hard. He's done a lot of damage to the back, and then hit me again, and they went past me with the red flag. I mean, the race has been stopped, waving his fist.
A big dent for Gravitt Sierra, but he'd be lining up for the restart. Lawrence Bristow wouldn't. His car took the main force of the incident, colliding with the barrier. Graham Good, who claimed he'd been nudged by Sean Walker, almost got going again, only to be foiled by an electrical problem. So 2 cars missing for the restarted race, which is described by Murray Walker.
And it's Rob Gravitt nosing away at the start. Into the left hand, it's Gravitt, then it's Harvey. Rouse in 3rd position, Sean Walker is 4th. Around Holtz, and Gravitt goes through on the inside to take Harvey. Looking back from Gravitt's car at Harvey 2nd, behind him is Andy Rouse through the kink, building up to 160 miles an hour. Peter Barwell Hill. Rouse is challenging Harvey and he's going through. Andy Rouse goes up into 2nd place. Harvey gesticulates, he's very unhappy about something. Down through the gears, from 4th to 3rd, from 3rd to 2nd, into the long left, Halford's corner. Rob Gravitt leading in the white Sierra, then it's Andy Rouse, we're 3rd with Tim Harvey. Now, down Belgrave Middleway, up through the gears, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Tim Harvey pointing at his turbo gauge. 1 finger. Maybe that means he's down to 1 bar boost. It should be 2. Anyway, into Ferodo corner. Out of it. Gravitt leads. Rouse 2nd. Harvey 3rd. Sean Walker is 4th. In the blue Sierra, it's Amato Ferrari 5th, being challenged by Mike Newman. Behind them, the 2 litres, Luby, Cleland, all looking back at Tim Harvey. No, it's Andy Rouse, of course. Andy Rouse in 2nd position, coming up right behind Rob Gravitt, past the multi-storey car park at 100 miles an hour. And there are the 2 litres. Kurt Luby in the BMW is leading John Cleland in the Vauxhall. Terrific drive by Luby already. He got away beautifully at the start, driving for the BMW Junior team. 7 times a kart champion, twice a Formula 4 champion. He's won 3 of the British Touring Car Championship 2-litre rounds this year. And behind him, John Cleland, the 1989 British champion in a Vauxhall Astra. He's won 3 times this year and he's challenging Luby. But Luby keeps him back, tucks in, goes round the left-hander. John Cleland tight up behind him, but Luby pulling away a bit, and there in 3rd position in the 2-litre class, it's Godfrey Hall. Now we are with Frank Sittner, 4th in the 2 litres. Just behind us, it's Jeff Allen. Now there's Godfrey Hall. Comes from Sutton Coldfield. From Nottingham, it's Frank Sittner. We're riding with Sittner. They both started from row 8 on the grid, and Godfrey Hall had a demon start, and it's paying off. Ex-Formula 3 driver. And here, ahead, 3rd, fighting for his position, it's Tim Harvey, number 3, ahead of Sean Walker in 4th position. And if Tim Harvey has got a boost problem, he's doing very well indeed to stay ahead of Sean Walker. But now, Sean is starting to challenge. So, out of the kink, Tim Harvey. Now into the quick bit, and this is Sean Walker's opportunity. And Tim Harvey gesticulates, and that looks like a gesticulation of despair to me. Be a better driver, it says on the front of his car, and I'm doing my best, says Tim Harvey, but it's not good enough. Sean Walker goes through, up into 3rd position, into Halfords. And now, as he goes down the Belgrave middle way, it'll give Sean Walker the opportunity to pull away, because with his turbo boost working, he can streak ahead. So, Rob Gravitt leads, Andy Rouse 2nd, Sean Walker that we're looking at is 3rd. Behind him is Tim Harvey. Into Ferodo. Walker is consolidating his 3rd place. Up Rover Road, there are the leaders. Gravitt, Andy Rouse. Between them, they've won all 9 rounds so far. Rob Gravitt's won 7 of them. This looks like being number 8. They're lapping at over 85 miles an hour. 34-year-old Rob Gravitt from Maidenhead, where he runs an Auto Factors, is the revelation of 1990. Andy Rouse behind him, 4 times British champion. But here his car and tyre combination seems inferior to Gravitt's. And look at this battle for the 2 litres. Sittner's going for it. He's past Hall. He's up to 3rd in the class. Kurt Luby's ahead of him still, and John Cleland. We're in car with Sittner. Now, Cleland is out of sight. He's 5 seconds ahead. So Fearless Frank has really got to fly. And up front, there is Andy Rouse, 2nd. Lights ablaze, chasing Rob Gravitt. And there's a bit of a gap now. Andy Rouse. Where is Rob Gravitt? He's missing. That's Andy Rouse. And there is Gravitt. He's out. He's out. So Andy Rouse now leads. Sean Walker is in 2nd place, and there is Gravitt's Trackstar team with an anxious Mike Smith on the right in sunglasses. And Allen is going for it. Jeff Allen comes out from behind Godfrey Hall, goes up into 4th position in the 2-litre class. And Godfrey Hall is right on the ragged edge. Look at him sliding, and that is Frank Sittner ahead. In car now with Tim Harvey. He's waving somebody through. He's unhappy. He's slowing. And it's Mike Newman in the black Ford Sierra Cosworth. Mike Newman goes through into 3rd position. Mike back into racing after an illness, and it's a bad day for Tim Harvey's team. Lawrence Bristow, his teammate, non-started with a destroyed car. Tim Harvey, that we're riding with now, down to 4th in a race that he was optimistic about winning, starting from the front row. Well, there is Mike Newman, pulling away all the time now from Tim Harvey. As the Vauxhall BMW battle comes down to Honda turn. The left, accelerating away, out of the exit. Through to complete the lap, and now they're coming down to Holtz. And Hodgetts is trying to take Hall on the outside. He's driving around the outside. Hall goes across, they make contact. Hall goes into the Armco. Hodgetts goes through to 5th in class. It's a BMW leading. Kurt Luby, magnificent drive, there he goes. And in 2nd place it's John Cleland in the Vauxhall. There he is. But Frank Sidner, and we're with Sidner now, the 1988 British champion in his BMW M3, is catching John Cleland. You can see him ahead. There is Sidner going through. There's the ProDrive team, and they're looking to see what the battle is, and this is it. Frank Sidner, third in class, catching John Cleland's Vauxhall. And John Cleland's tyres are clearly shot. On the corners, he's in trouble. On the straights, he's going well. Kurt Loomy, of course, is still leading the 2 litres. BMW leads, Vauxhall second. We're riding with Frank Sidner's BMW in third position in the class. And Frank Sidner is catching the Vauxhall hand over fist into Halford's. Now, watch how Cleland's car handles as he goes out of the right-hander. He's on the straight now, he can use the power, front-wheel drive, and here is Andy Rouse, almost home, to win for the third time in 1990 by a massive 22 seconds from Sean Walker second, Mike Newman third, but the fastest lap to Rob Gravitt at 93 miles an hour.
Comfortable success for Andy Rouse, but behind, this is the scene. The battle in Cleland and Sidner had finished against the barrier, and some very angry words were about to be exchanged. Cleland in a heavily damaged car, furiously extricating himself through the passenger window. And the blame for the incident was not entirely clear. In this replay, on board with Sidner, rapidly gaining on Cleland with his tyres barely keeping him on the road. And Sidner makes what seems to be an audacious dive for the corner, and the impact knocks out the onboard camera and puts them both out of the contest. But in slow motion, you can see how Cleland appears to lock up all 4 wheels on the approach to the corner, black tyre marks there on the road, suggesting to Sidner that the opening might be there. But then Cleland gathers it up, regains the line, at which point Sidner finds it quite impossible to avoid the accident. Sidner's sporting acceptance of the blame was ignored by Cleland at Birmingham, but accepted with apologies and a handshake at Donington. Signal that battle would be rejoined here in round 11. Sidner against Cleland for honours in the new 2-litre class that forms the exciting foundation for next year's championship. But ahead of the 2-litre cars on the grid, the Ford Sierras running their last races in current Class A trim. And near the head of the field, 2 more great rivals, Andy Rouse and Rob Gravitt, who at Donington was poised for this final Class A title. Surprisingly though, for a man with 7 race wins, Gravitt off the front row of the grid, a front row of Andy Rouse and Tim Harvey. Gravitt alongside Graham Good on row 2. Row 3 was a rather troubled Lawrence Bristow, and Dave Brodie, one of the great characters, returning to the championship. Quickest man in Class B, once again John Cleland in the Vauxhall Cavalier, but pushed hard by Tim Sugden and Frank Sidner. Murray Walker describes the action.
15 laps of Donington's superb circuit, and this is the race that could decide the Class A and B British Championships. Andy Rouse in pole position on the left, Tim Harvey second fastest on the right, straight through the middle. A great start from row 2 by Rob Gravitt in the white Sierra. Down to Redgate. Rouse leads, Gravitt alongside him. Behind him in third place, it's Tim Harvey. Then Sean Walker, Lawrence Bristow in fifth position. Down to the Carina curves at 120 miles an hour. Rouse, Gravitt, Harvey. Sean Walker is fourth, Lawrence Bristow is fifth, into the old hairpin at 80 miles an hour, accelerating away, in car with Rob Gravitt, up to McLean's at 120 miles an hour, Andy Rouse in front of him. Watch Rob changing gears. Third gear for the right-hander at McLean's, and now up to Coppice. Here they come. Andy Rouse, Gravitt, Harvey, Walker. Out of Coppice, down the exhibition straight at 130 miles an hour, on towards the chicane. And Sean Walker is challenging Harvey. He's going through at the chicane. Walker, number 4, goes up into third position ahead of Tim Harvey. Lawrence Bristow is still in fifth position. Now down to the Melbourne hairpin, where with Tim Harvey, it's Sean Walker ahead of us. You can see Andy Rouse leading, Rob Gravitt second. Looking back from Frank Sidner's BMW, there's Bob Berridge and he's been hit by Jeff Allen. A collision. And that's Bob Berridge touring in, standing in for the injured David Coulthard. And it's been a very short drive in the Works Cavalier for the ex-Formula 4 champion, number 70, Bob Berridge, Vauxhall Cavalier, a long way from Cleveland for under a lap. Redgate, Rouse, Gravett. Now there's Sean Walker third, behind him Harvey, behind him Bristow, then it's Graham Good and Brodie, and here are the 2 litres, John Cleland leading. Trainer curves. Sean Walker, number 4, third position, is really flying ahead of Tim Harvey. And up ahead of them to McLean's comes Andy Rouse, and he locks up his left front tyre, but he has a new lap record, 90.6 miles an hour. He's leading Rob Gravett now by nearly 2 seconds. There's Rouse, Gravett second, Walker third, Harvey fourth, Bristow fifth, Graham Good, number 15, in 6th position. Out of Coppice, down the long straight to the chicane. Good is challenging. Watch him. In the Black Sierra, Lawrence Bristow ahead of him. Good having a look at the chicane, but Bristow keeps it behind. Now, out of the chicane, down to the Melbourne hairpin, and Harvey raises the dust on the exit. And that's Dave Brodie, out. Returning to racing after a long layoff, and it hasn't lasted very long. But, out of the hairpin, Dennis Leach in the Sierra is being caught by the 2-litre leaders. Number 50, John Cleland. Number 55, Frank Sidner. Behind them is Jeff Allam in the BMW. Third in class, we're with Sidner, chasing his 2-litre rival, John Cleland. Now, the last time they raced, they had a collision at Birmingham. They won't want to repeat that again, but they are racing for the 2-litre title. Sidner. Once again then, it's the front-wheel drive Vauxhall in front, chased by the rear-wheel drive BMW, the 1989 British champion versus the 1988 British champion. Old hairpin, out of it, they're catching Dennis Leach's Sierra. We're back again with Frank Sidner. Starkey's up to McLean's, 275 horsepower plus. Frank has won the 2-litre class 4 times this year. John Cleland has won it 3 times. And behind them, Jeff Allam in 3rd position. It's all action in the 2-litre class, and that's Nick Whale hitting Mark Hales in the Mitsubishi. And through goes Ian Forrest. Mark Hales has lost 2 places, but down the straight, Frank Sidner is going for it. Up alongside John Cleland into the chicane. John Cleland keeps his place, cuts in front, goes out of the chicane, down to the Melbourne hairpin again. He's still leading in the Vauxhall. Jeff Allam is closing up in the Vic Lee Motorsport BMW, 3rd position in the 2-litre class. Fierce rivalry between the man from Peebles, John Cleland, the man from Nottingham, Frank Sidner. There they go. They both need a win for the 2-litre championship. Up to Goddard again, the left-hander, which leads into the start and finish straight. Vauxhall leads, BMW second, Cleland, Sidner up alongside the rear wing of the Vauxhall, but he drops back as they go down to Redgate. Here they come. Cleland, Sidner with the blue headlamps and the blue strip over the windscreen. There's the Vauxhall out of Redgate. And that's Jeff Allam, followed by Tim Sugden, and here are the leaders up front. We are riding with Andy Rouse, the overall leader, being chased by Rob Gravett, number 11. There he is, second. And now Tim Sugden is starting to challenge Jeff Allam. There they are together. Sugden comes right up alongside Jeff Allam as they come out of Coppice. They're alongside each other as they go down the long straight towards the chicane. Cleland leading. And there's Jeff Allam. He's kept that 3rd place. Sugden still 4th. Jeff Allam was in the right place when he came to turn in for the chicane. They're passing now Dennis Leach's Sierra. He's been lapped. Frank Frank Sidner, left-hand drive. John Cleland, right-hand drive with the Vauxhall. Sidner coming up to the rear of the Vauxhall as they go into Goddard again. There is only 1.6 seconds between Cleland in the lead in the 2-litre class and Jeff Allen in third place as they complete the lap. And now Sugden is challenging. Tim Sugden, fourth position in the 2-litre class as they come up to Redgate. There are the leaders. And there is Sugden. He's going through on the inside. He's taken the position. He's up into third place in the 2-litre class. And that is Mark Hales leading Ian Forrest and John Clark. Two BMWs chasing the Mitsubishi. Down to Redgate, absolutely together. Hales in 15th place. Forrest 16th. Clark 17th. But it's anybody's position. Now down to the hairpin. There is Rob Gravitt still chasing Andy Rouse. Now tyres have been Andy's problem in the past. Are they going to be again? With nigh on 600 horsepower, that really burns the rubber. Now to Goddard. First and second, Rouse and Gravitt. The men who've dominated the overall British Touring Car Championship this year. And at McLean's, it's the Mitsubishi and the BMW still together. John Clark, last there, he's retiring at the end of the season. We're going to miss him. And Hales is using new Firestone radials for the first time, and they really seem to be working. But here are the leaders in the 2-litre class. Sidner and Cleland still absolutely as one. Tim Sugden behind them in third position, ahead of Jeff Allen fourth. Now, will Tim Sugden, with the red flash on the windscreen, try to pass his team leader, Frank Sidner, in view of the championship position? I very much doubt it, but we'll see. They're together as they come out of the Craner curves, pulling away from Jeff Allen. Cleland absolutely online. And it looks as though Frank Sidner just hasn't got the horsepower to get past the Vauxhall. But he's staying ahead of Tim Sugden, who is staying ahead of Jeff Allen. Down to the old hairpin, and we're looking back now from Sidner's car. That is Tim Sugden's BMW M3. Third in class. Coppice. Out of Coppice up to 130 miles an hour. The Vauxhall leads the three BMWs. Out of it, and Jeff Allen raises the dust. Just puts a wheel on the grass as he comes out of Coppice. And Frank Sidner is taking a look as they come down to the chicane. He's going to go through and take the lead this time in the 2-litre class. He has done it. Frank Sidner, the 1988 British Touring Car Champion overall, leads the 2-litre class and looks back now at John Cleland's Vauxhall. The hairpin. So, Sidner ahead. And it looks now as though he's going to stay there. And Tim Sugden is starting to challenge the Vauxhall. Is John Cleland in trouble? Sugden, number 56, has a look on the outside of Cleland's Vauxhall. Now goes through on the inside. He's absolutely... They go across the line together. But Cleland has got the line at Redgate. He's on the inside, and that's where he needs to be. Sugden cuts across and goes through on the inside. He's going to go through. He does it. Tim Sugden in the BMW moves up to second in class behind his team leader, and here are the overall leaders, Andy Rouse, and with him now is Rob Gravitt. They are absolutely together, the race leaders. And Gravitt goes through at the hairpin. They're lapping Ray Arms, and Andy Rouse has lost the position. Rob Gravitt has got the nose of the Sierra in front, looking back now at Andy Rouse's Ford Sierra. And it looks as though this is going to be another win now for Rob Gravitt. That's Rouse. 4 times British champion Andy Rouse has had to give best again to Rob Gravitt. And there is Mike Newman in the Black Sierra, number 5, passing Lawrence Bristow up into 6th position. Redgate. Mike Newman 6th. Lawrence Bristow, who is Tim Harvey's teammate, down to 7th position. Race leaders, Rob Gravitt now, down to the old hairpin. Andy Rouse behind him, headlights blazing with Andy Rouse now, and that is Rob Gravitt ahead. Is this going to be win number 8 for Rob Gravitt and for his Trackstar team? Andy Rouse is hanging on, but look at the way Rob Gravitt pulls away down the straight. chicane. Gravett coming up to lap a BMW, who moves across and lets him through, so there's no delay for the race leader. Andy Rouse follows him through, down to the hairpin. Gravett seems to have it made now. Up to Goddard again, the end of another lap. Gravett leads, Rouse in second position, Tim Harvey third, Sean Walker is fourth, Graham Good is fifth, Mike Newman is in sixth position, and Rob Gravett completes the lap. And it's a furious battle for the 2 litres. Sytner, Sugden, Cleland, Allen, BMW, Vauxhall, BMW, in car with Cleland. And we've just had news that John has been penalised 60 seconds for being incorrectly positioned at the start. And now Jeff Allen goes through. Down to fourth in class goes John Cleland. Up to third goes Jeff Allen, who is ahead of us now. And John Cleland is now effectively sixth with the penalty. And he needed to win the class. But he's not giving up. Who knows? Anything could still happen. Now we're with Tim Harvey, who is in fourth position, ahead of us, Sean Walker third, but Harvey is closing on the Ford Sierra Cosworth ahead as they come down to the hairpin. Sean Walker goes wide, Tim Harvey gets alongside him. He's got the line, he's got the position as they come out, and Tim Harvey moves up into third place overall. Down to fourth overall goes Sean Walker. Graham Good is fifth, and here is Frank Sytner leading the 2 litres. If he can stay there, he still has a chance of the overall championship for the second time. The 45-year-old veteran has driven a fine race, but then he's been driving for 28 years, so he knows the form by now. Craner curves, and Sean Walker on the left is in trouble. Number 4, he's been passed by Mike Newman in the Black Sierra. Number 5, Walker down to 6th position as they lap Mark Hale's Mitsubishi. And it's the last lap now for number 11, race leader Rob Gravett. Another immaculate race for the man from Maidenhead. He took the lead on lap 11 out of 15. He's going to win for the 8th time this year to clinch the Class A British Championship. Last corner, last lap, it's going to be a victory for Gravett, but it's a new lap record at 90.6 miles an hour to Andy Rouse. Gravett wins, just 1.5 seconds ahead of Andy Rouse, but that's enough for Rob. And here are the 2 litres on their last lap. BMW, and there's the Vauxhall going off. John Cleland going off, but he keeps it going in car with Cleland. The 3 BMWs pull away, and Sytner is leading his way home. There he is, with a respectful Tim Sugden behind him. It's going to be Frank Sytner's 5th win this year. It's going to give him the 2 litre championship. They go out of Coppice. Sytner, Sugden, Jeff Allen making a last lap challenge. It's the 2 Works BMWs in front of him. Jeff Allen in the Vic Lee Motorsport car, and he's getting closer and closer at the chicane. Sytner, Sugden, Allen, out of it. They've just got to go down to the Melbourne hairpin, out of it, up the hill, round Goddard, and that is the end of the race. Well, Sytner leads into the hairpin. Sugden second. Allen third. It's going to stay that way. Now, there are still 2 rounds to go of the British Touring Car Championship this year at Thruxton and Silverstone. Will Frank Sytner be able to prevent Rob Gravett from becoming the overall British champion? Well, with the best 11 scores from 13 races to count, it's mathematically possible, and it's going to be interesting to see.
Frank Sytner, the overall 1988 champion, becomes the inaugural 2 litre champion, but now once again he has his eyes on that overall title. 26 points separated Sytner from Gravett, who once again took pole position for what could be the overall championship decider, round 12 at Thruxton. Gravett alongside Tim Harvey, and then a second row of the ever-improving Graham Good, Andy Rouse qualifying 4th, Lawrence Bristow, Sean Walker, row 3, John Cleland heading the 2 litres alongside Dave Brodie, and Frank Sytner right behind. Murray Walker describes what happened.
For the 8th time in 12 races, Rob Gravitt has put his white Trackstar Ford Sierra on the left into pole position, with Tim Harvey alongside him on the right. Away they go, 20 laps. Andy Rouse sprints through from the second row, up into second place behind Rob Gravitt as they go into Allard Corner. Then it's Tim Harvey in third position. Behind him in the black car, it's Graham Goode. Now down to the complex, and Sean Walker in the background is challenging. And we're looking back now from Rob Gravitt's car and Andy Rouse. He's pushing Gravitt very hard indeed. He's going for the lead. Andy Rouse failing to get it. Gravitt accelerates away. Rouse is going to attack again as they come up to Noble, the left-hander. So it's Gravitt leading on the right, number 11. Andy Rouse in second position. Now, Rouse can't win the championship, but he can win the race. He's won 3 out of the 11 races so far to Rob Gravitt's 8. But Rob Gravitt doesn't need to win. He can take the overall championship with just second place. Rouse pulling up alongside the white Sierra as they go round the left-hander. Now down to the club chicane. And Rouse looks as though he's going through on the inside. Gravitt is actually moving over to let him through. He does so, down to second place. Andy Rouse leads. Now we're with Jeff Allen in his BMW M3, and he is in trouble coming up to the club chicane. In fact, he's right up onto the curbing, slowing right down. Everybody is streaming past him. Oh, and look at that left rear wheel, a big chunk out of the rim. Allen now, here is a replay, chasing Godfrey Hall's BMW on 140 miles an hour. Up to him and he's hit him. That was the problem. Jeff Allen hits Godfrey Hall, drifts out wide over the curbing, into the pits. So, new left rear, out he goes, and he's got the airline attached to the car. He's putting the wrenches along. That's tremendously dangerous. But fortunately, Jeff Allen realises the problem and stops. And he's lost a lot of time, changing the wheel, then stopping in the pit lane. Rejoins last, and he's got a lot to do. Now, club corner, Andy Rouse leading by just over a second. Then it's Rob Gravitt, 1.6 seconds ahead of this battle. Tim Harvey and Graham Goode. Sean Walker is 5th, and Lawrence Bristow is in 6th position. Graham Goode, there he is in the black car from Leicester, right up with Harvey. And now this is 10-time Scottish champion Ian Forrest, running very wide, over the curbing, rejoining, lost a lot of places. Built up to racing speed again, but he's lost his momentum. Now, out of Village and on to Brooklands. This is the battle for third position. Behind Andy Rouse and Rob Gravitt, Tim Harvey, Graham Goode, ahead of Sean Walker. They're all in Ford Sierra Cosworth turbos. Each of them have got over 550 horsepower. Down to club, and it's Andy Rouse, Rob Gravitt, Tim Harvey and Graham Goode. Behind them it's Sean Walker, then it's Lawrence Bristow, Dave Brodie, John Cleland in the Vauxhall, 8th position, leading the 2 litres, ahead of Frank Sidner and Kurt Luby. There they are. Onto the chicane, Mark Hales and Nick Whale. He nerves Nick Whale, pushes him right off the course, up onto the curbing. That was a very brutal passing manoeuvre, but it seems to have worked. A very, very unhappy Nick Whale goes on his way again. Oh, into the pits. Here are the 2 litres. On the left is Frank Sidner, on the right is his teammate Kurt Luby. There's a slim chance for Frank Sidner to become the 1990 overall champion. That's Kurt Luby that's chasing us. But Frank Sidner must win the class, and Kurt Luby is harrying him. And it looks as though there aren't any orders in the BMW team. 26-year-old Kurt Luby on the left from Bolton, kart champion, Formula Ford champion. And there is Netton Lindgren and Chris Hodgetts. Chris Hodgetts in the 2-litre Ford Sapphire, nearly losing it. Trying to catch Netton Lindgren. But now Tim Harvey, Graham Goode, Lawrence Bristow, Dave Brodie goes through, and Sean Walker, number 4. He was up into 4th place. He's obviously got a major problem driving in to retire. So, Harvey, Goode, 3rd and 4th, Lawrence Bristow, 5th. Dave Brodie there in 6th position, and look at John Cleland in the 2-litre Vauxhall, ahead of together Sidner and Kurt Luby. The BMW's going at it really hard. Now we're with Frank Sidner making some sort of a signal to Kurt Luby. Perhaps it is keep back, Kurt. I can win the championship if only I can get ahead of John Cleland. Round the club chicane. There's that signal again. But it's a signal to go through, and Kurt Luby moves up into 2nd position. Frank Sidner 3rd in the 2-litre class. Netta Lindgren is right behind him. So it's Vauxhall, BMW, BMW, BMW in the 2-litre class. Andy Rouse is still leading overall in the Ford Sierra. Luby ahead. Let's see if he can do anything about John Cleland's Vauxhall. And look at Ned Lindgren there. Sidner, Luby, Netta Lindgren behind them, John Cleland in front of them, and Netta Lindgren is definitely gaining on the 2 BMWs. And that is Ian Flux, another BMW M3. Flux has spun off, he's scrambling to find wheel grip now to get back onto the tarmac and into the race. Luby and Sidner still battling for 2nd place in the 2-litre class. Luby's got it at the moment. No, he hasn't, because Frank Sidner goes through and retakes the 2nd place he lost. But John Cleland in the front-wheel drive Vauxhall is still ahead. Netta Lindgren is still in 4th position. In 5th place in the 2-litre class, it's Markus Österreich. That's the German driver in the Vauxhall Cavalier. And look at Kurt Luby in the white BMW. He's weaving about all over the place, and Netta Lindgren has gone through. It looks to me as though Kurt Luby's got a puncture. He's slowed right down. So there is Chris Hodgetts, number 51, and into the pits comes Kurt Luby, and sure enough, left rear puncture. And the ProDrive team mechanics leap onto it. Up on the jacks, off goes the old wheel, on goes the new one. Kurt Luby sitting there impassively, waiting to get away, and look at that old tyre. Kurt Luby goes out, 14.1 seconds. He came in 8th, he's gone out 17th. And Dave Brodie is touring. The man who's making a comeback to the British Touring Car Championship was in 6th place, now touring into the pits. Rotten luck for Brodie, and that is Frank Sidner behind him. So that's both the BMW Works cars in. Kurt Luby's been in and gone out. There is Brodie, here is Sidner, and it's another left rear tyre look. Whoops, Chuck Nicholson, number 53, Chuck Nicholson, the ex-Jaguar driver, having a go at touring car racing, finding his limits the hard way, back into the race. Frank Sidner's wheel change is almost completed. It is completed. We're with him. He blasts out of the pit lane, leaving Dave Brodie there, down to 16th place. And that's put an end to Frank Sidner's chances of being overall champion in 1990. Dave Brodie rejoins. Tyre damage, real damage. And it looks like a choice of the wrong compound. John Cleland in the Vauxhall Cavalier, a commanding lead in the 2-litre class. And with Frank Sidner effectively out of the race, that means that Rob Gravitt has almost certainly won the 1990 British Touring Car Championship overall. He's only got to finish. Andy Rouse leads. Rob Gravitt well behind him now in 2nd place. Tim Harvey is 3rd. Lawrence Bristow is in 4th position. Graham Good is 5th. And John Cleland in 6th place in the 2-litre Vauxhall Cavalier. Now we're with Lawrence Bristow, 4th position, out of the complex. Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave exit Seagraves, now on his way to Noble, the fast left-hander, chasing the car ahead of him, soon to take him into the apex. No, he's not into the apex. He's off the course. Over the infield to a standstill, and Lawrence Bristow out. For what reason, I do not know. Bristow walks away from the car. Not at all happy with it, obviously, and Andy Rouse is calmly now pacing himself in the lead to his 4th victory. 13 laps completed into lap 14. And now we're looking back from Rob Gravitt's car at Tim Harvey, number 3, 3rd position, and closing up on the white Sierra of the champion-elect Rob Gravitt. There's Harvey, and he's going past on the inside, up into 2nd place. And that in the background, incidentally, is Frank Sintner, rejoined in the BMW M3. We're with Gravitt now. Tim Harvey in front, and into the pits comes Cleland. John Cleland, 6th in the race, leading the 2-litre class. This is incredible. Luby in trouble, Sintner in trouble, now Cleland in trouble, and that means to say that Netton Lindgren has gone through into the lead of the 2-litre class. And this looks pretty terminal to me. Steam from inside the bonnet, yes. Pushing the Vauxhall away, so Cleland is out. Now, what's the problem?
I thought it was a puncture. As I came into the chicane, there was a sudden vibration. Just as I changed down, back on the power, and I thought it was maybe a tyre. It would appear that it's dropped some oil, so looks like that's that.
Well, if he's dropped some oil, that certainly is that for John Cleland, but it's not for Netton Lindgren. Look at this, leading the 2-litre class. Right behind her, in the leaping Ford Sapphire, it's Chris Hodgetts. Just behind him is Marcus Erstreich. But there is the race leader, Andy Rouse, on his way to his 4th victory. Now, his problem in 1990 has been tyres. Not the car, not the driver. And there, Tim Harvey going through in 2nd position. Big gap between him and Andy Rouse now. And Rouse coming up to lap Ian Forrest in the red and white BMW. He's in 8th place, so that shows you how quickly Rouse has been driving. Number 1, 1st position. Round 12 of the championship. Rouse is 4 times British champion himself, but he's not going to be this year. That's the man who looks as though he's going to be. Rob Gravitt, number 11, 3rd in the race, on target for the championship. But now the 2-litre class, 1st, 2nd and 3rd are together. Lindgren, Hodgetts, Erstreich, BMW, Ford, Vauxhall. Into the last lap but 1, lap 19 out of 20, up to Allard at 100 miles an hour and out of it. Now onto the complex, down into 2nd gear for Campbell, the right-hander, 65 miles an hour, and Chris Hodgetts tries for 1st place. Netton Lindgren shuts the door in his face. Hodgetts loses momentum. Erstreich closes up. Lovely bit of driving by Netton, that was. Perfect tactics. Now, round Noble. 3 cars, there is nearly 900 horsepower there. Out of Goodwood at 125 miles an hour. Then Church. Here it is, that's the corner where there used to be a very nasty bump. That's been mostly ironed out. Onto Brooklands. Still, the men, Hodgetts and Erstreich, can do nothing about the gallant Swedish housewife in front of them. But my goodness, they're trying. You'll notice that Netton Lindgren is sitting on the left-hand side of the car. Hodgetts and Erstreich on the right, into the last lap. Terrific pressure on Netton Lindgren now, up round Allard for the last time. And Andy Rouse is almost home for that 4th win. Out of the club chicane for the 20th time to see the checkered flag, to take it and to win. And Tim Harvey finishes 2nd in the Blue Sierra, but this is Rob Gravitt. He's going to be 3rd, 8 times a winner, 8 pole positions, 9 fastest laps, 4 record laps, and that is supremacy. But this is the battle for the 2-litre leadership on their last lap, and it's still Netton Lindgren leading, it's still Chris Hodgetts 2nd, it's still Erstreich in 3rd position, as on the fastest part of the course, nearly 130 miles an hour. They come out of the right-hander and down to the club chicane for the last time, and Chris Hodgetts is closing, he's trying to take her on the outside, and he spins, tries too hard. Erstreich goes up into 2nd place, Chris Hodges rejoins. Well, it was a good try, but it didn't succeed. Netton Lindgren wins the class. Marcus Erstreich is second, and Chris Hodges comes in third. But what a wonderful drive by the Swedish woman, Netton Lindgren.
Netton Lindgren coming good late in the season, too late to challenge the overall champion Rob Gravitt, who at last gave Ford the success previously denied by the vagaries of the championship scoring. Frank Sittner for BMW, 30 points back in second. That left one more round at Silverstone, the last fling for the Class A Ford RS 500s before the competition goes wholly 2-litre next year. For the last time, Gravitt headed the thundering Ford charge down to the first corner. But a few yards behind, the 2-litre cars were emphasising once again the level of competition we're in for next year. John Cleland sliding in front of Frank Sittner, and on board with Sittner, flanked by Cleland on the left and Jeff Allam on the right. Frantic action around Maggots and Beckett's, from which the bold Cleland, going outrageously wide, emerges the worst. And it only took the length of the club straight to be back up with Sittner and Allam, and then the door banging started all over again around Brooklands and Bridge Bend. In theory, this is what we're in for next year via the involvement of half a dozen or more of the sport's top manufacturers. But at Silverstone, Cleland was hounding Allam into a mistake. Allam on the grass at Copse, Cleland follows him, but keeps the momentum going to take the lead, only to be challenged within a couple of more laps by the class champion Sittner. Sittner sweeps ahead, but doesn't get away from Cleland, who's back in front a couple of corners later. Two fierce rivals from the past season. They almost came to blows after the Birmingham round, but they have a great respect for each other. And Sittner mounted a final challenge on the last few corners of the championship.
I had a go on the last lap in front of the BRDC clubhouse and the grandstand, and I went as far as you can go. It was a perfectly good overtaking manoeuvre. John retaliated in all the correct ways. He knows exactly what he's doing, and I could easily have got through. It was worth a try.
Sums up a very good year, and a very good year in the inaugural 2-litre championship. How much have you enjoyed it in general?
Well, of what you've just said, there's no doubt about that. Again, it just proves what a good formula it is. It's been fantastic to enjoy. It was really very frustrating now. I'd just like to go back out there and run that race all over again. That's how exciting it is.
That's the future, but the Ford Sierras were also showing how exciting they could be in their final Class A championship appearance. This is Tim Harvey and Graham Good fiercely contesting third place. Side by side they battled it out. Contact that would rip out Harvey's tyre valve and give Graham Good his top 3 finish. But at this point it's Harvey in front, heading for a puncture and a pit stop. And it was appropriate that up front, Rob Gravitt and Andy Routh should contest the final unrestricted Sierra battle. Gravitt behind. Tim Harvey by this point has made his pit stop and rejoined as a back marker. But Gravitt is set for his 9th win of the season, thanks to a bold overtaking manoeuvre at Brooklands. Outstanding championship success for Gravitt and his Trackstar team, plagued by a shortage of backing for much of the season, but never suffering from a shortage of determination.
It's been a long season and it hasn't been easy. The other guys are very, very quick. Andy doesn't give any way, Tim doesn't give any way, and it's it's good. Makes good TV, I think.
Yeah. Now the championship goes into a new era, and presumably Trackstar goes into that new era with the championship.
That's right. We're going into a 2-litre championship now, which I think will be good because the car that crosses the line, in theory, will be the car that could win the championship. We're looking at a number of manufacturers now, and by the end of this month, hopefully, we'll have come up with a manufacturer that we think that can win, and then we have to go into a fairly large, intensive development program. But hopefully, for March next year, then we'll be back with a competitive car. I want to be at the front if I can.
The final standings of the 1990 SO British Touring Car Championship, a transition year towards that 2-litre formula, and next year more manufacturers and heightened competition, a very exciting prospect for British saloon car racing.